Styled radicals will tell you superficial surface reforms do not interest us, must be critiqued at its root. And then the root turns out to be this universal, all-encompassing evil, right? Society itself, the system, the machine. A resentment ideologue always imagines himself to be engaged in a kind of satanic revolt against an omnipotent, omnipresent enemy. Okay, I just need to do makeup for a second. It's harder than it looks to be a makeup vlogger. Like, it's hard to talk while doing this. And nothing short of total revolution counts as any sort of victory whatsoever. We have to dismantle the entire system. Burn it all down. I guess it's pedestrian to point out that this is the revolutionary utopian equivalent of Christians awaiting the last judgment. Our kingdom is coming, comrades. Often the appeal of utopian ideology is similar to religion. It's not about healthcare, higher wages, relief from police violence. Those
She's 100% right.
are actual goals that could be demanded, worked for, and achieved.
I don't even think Marxist-Leninists would disagree with this. There you go.
Achieved. Utopian ideology instead promises relief from some general malaise, alienation. And so ironically, it can have the same opiate effect that Marx ascribes to religion. But release from the general anguish of human existence is not a political goal. There's been many revolutions in the last few centuries. And so far, zero utopias. Resentment, envy, and hunger, for that matter, are not satiated by the downfall of the old regime. When the people have no bread, they eat the rich. And when the rich are gone, they eat each other. And because of the proximity effect, envy may actually increase after the revolution. You may actually be more envious of a favored comrade, a successful citoyen. Oui, a kulak.
What? Okay, this is that. What? I don't know where this video is going. Maybe with the context, I would understand the point that she's making. Isn't this like when Destiny used to say, you can't defeat racism with socialism? Like, what if the factory democratically organizes to vote to do racism? Which is technically true. The point is the factory is currently doing racism. It's just that, you know, it's in the hands of the few. Bro, you were agreeing? Don't back out now? I mean, I was agreeing with this point, but it took a very weird turn. It's like the last 5 minutes of a 1 hour and 48 long video.
Than you ever were of the aristocrats. So envy turns paranoid and imaginative in revolutionary moments. It gets sublimated into morality, and the accusations start flying. That citizen is conspiring against the revolution. That peasant is hoarding grain. So the guillotine starts slicing thousands of heads off, the gulags fill up, or an authoritarian strongman takes over just to announce another revolution 2 decades later. The things people will do to stay relevant, honestly. And for what? What long-term egalitarian utopia?
I wouldn't say it's envy that causes many of the historic socialist revolutions to fail. I mean, there's obviously so many different reasons, which I know Natalie agrees with. Outside influences, constant war with imperialist forces. But I think ultimately envy doesn't play that significant of a role. I've said a million times over that I prefer the neoliberal method of control of sedating the masses to the more authoritarian methods of control that we have seen in historic revolutionary socialist development. I've said this a million times over. 30 different brands of Oreos and the mirage of choice creates this idea of liberty within people. And that's a significantly better way of sedating the masses rather than telling them like, no, we can't do it. We're just not going to give you fucking coffee beans because we just simply don't have coffee beans right now. And you're going to shut the fuck up. Left is confused. I mean, I've literally said that. I always say that. I mean, think about it this way. I think a level of control is an absolute necessity. Sorry, look at the fucking hogs. Okay? That's always what's going on. Control occurs in politics, whether you admit it or whether you see it or not. I would rather manufacture consent, okay, than say like we're stopping harmful information from being prevented. I mean, it's a bit of both.
Hasan.
But I think manufacturing consent and the neoliberal method of control is demonstrably more successful than more authoritarian forms. Helping people feel like they're free or allowing people to feel like they're free is a demonstrably successful way of controlling the population. Envy is the boring standard. Pepega analysis of why counter-revolutions were successful. Yeah, I don't know how envy features into this, but...
Utopia results. Socialism with Chinese characteristics.
Now?
For the poor constantly want what you have, you first world spoiled product. What? If the neoliberal method of control worked, there wouldn't be 30K people watching you. It doesn't matter. I have 30,000 people watching me, but a revolution is not occurring because ultimately it doesn't fucking matter because the people that do end up going out and voting and the bourgeois electoral systems that we have developed under a capitalist organization of the economy will still continue to put the needs of corporations and the wants of the wealthy over the interests of the citizens, of the interests of the working class. That's just the reality. So that is proof that it's working. That's my point. You should watch the whole video, maybe not on stream. Natalie's point is couched within a larger point about political discourse.
Hi Hasan, hi chat.
This is a 2-minute clip of a video essay that's 2 hours long about envy and it's clipped for r/neolib, leaving out her talking positively about leftism and revolutions. Ideally for you, you'd have a socialistic economy and a neoliberal illusion of freedom. I mean, that's not even neoliberal. The illusion of freedom there isn't even like a neoliberal thing. It's just
9 months
what neoliberal Western nations have been able to successfully implement. I wouldn't even say that it's like straight up neoliberalism or a tenet of neoliberalism. You can have authoritarian neoliberalism. Chile is a good example of this, right? Like more authoritarian neoliberalism can exist.
Would you consider yourself more left than Natalie?
You gotta watch the whole video. She's making a philosophical argument, and as a philosophy major myself, I can say she's doing the annoying thing we do where we use words with a meaning that they don't hold in common parlance. There are about 2 hours before this explaining envy from a philosophical POV. You are coming at it from the colloquial use as a synonym for jealousy. Kind of got a point. If a revolution happened, people would rip you limb from limb and a crumb of money. Yeah, dude, totally. The neoliberal method of control, or the neoliberal manufacturing consent, has completely fucking dismantled labor unions in this country. One minor way of pushing back against the gross abundance and overall exploitation that is baked into this economic organization. Okay? Like, there are no fucking... Look no further than the average working class person becoming a lumpen prole and literally speaking out against labor unions if you want to understand how successful that method of control has been. You've reacted to this before, but it's Zizek on the neoliberal versus authoritarian father.